Bases dropped on a Monday, SDH AM. John, here you there. Thanks for coming by, as you always do. Sorry about 9:06. I was trying to download some things, and there was one thing in particular that I tried to download, and it was a matter of seeing if a particular, how do we phrase this? If a particular moment in a press conference was bleeped or if I had to take care of it. And so apparently the team took care of it, so we didn't necessarily have to do any kind of, how do we phrase this? Creative editing this morning. Talking about a win. Atlanta on the road against Toronto, and it was a big win for the Five Stripes. We'll get into that in full. Abe's going to be joining us. Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game. He's going to be joining us in short order. We're going to talk about things with Abe. We've got plenty of posts to get into. We have the goals to get into. It is goals on the board. You hear from Tata and his conversation with Jason. You hear from Matt Edwards and the conversation that he had with Jason. You get to hear from Alexei Miranchuk and his conversation that was had after the match as well. Man, the hair is out of control this morning. So that is the that is the rundown, at least in hour number one. Hour number two is with Bart Keeler, and Bart's going to join us this morning, and we're going to get into why did that not download? That's crazy. Okay, that was wild. Downloads, nothing. No, nothing there. No. Okay, that's intriguing. All right, so we might have to do this the old-fashioned way. All right. So there's one element that I'm going to have to apparently take care of that I didn't know I was going to have to take care of. So Bart's going to come in. There are a couple of moments. Bart wanted to go back and discuss what happened on the midweek involving Atlanta and New England, and seeing if it was handled properly by me, I guess, to start, and then from all the others that we're looking at the rundown there. So Bart has cards and calls. There were two moments, actually. There was a moment in the Philly game I wanted to get into. It was the dog show at 90+4. And also there were two moments from the Sunday night match that I wanted to get into with Bart. So there are a couple of things to get into with Bart. We've got Yanks abroad. We've got all the other things. And then we'll get you ready for the morning. There are a couple of pieces of news that we have to get into involving the world play, Xavi Simons, Kylian Mbappe. There's some stuff to get into there that we've got to get into. So there's an AM news to finish, and then a reminder that Red Clay is going to be here at noon, and we're going to catch up with a couple of coaches at noon and discuss Jeff Davis and Toombs County. And you're sitting there and you're going, Jeff Davis and Toombs County, what? Well, a couple of different things there. With Jeff Davis and Toombs County, they are in Class A. Their program's on the rise. Toombs County has had some great runs in the postseason in the past. And also it is an opportunity for the two of these teams to go up against each other in round number 2. And both of these coaches actually coach the boys and the girls. And so it's an opportunity to catch up with Jeremy Moore at Toombs, Brian Lawson at Jeff Davis, and get into what it's like to coach two programs at once and then go up against each other in one of the brackets. And so all the things are there. So now, as always, coming in at 9:10, man's early. He's rolling. He's on the Tom Coughlin scale. It's time to catch up with our friend Abe Gordon. Kick things off on a Monday. And Abe, we were talking about something that we have been a while to talk about on two separate fronts. Something on the road and then something that gets you full points. So huzzahs and hoorays. You're talking about a win for a change on a Monday.
Yeah, and now the question is, can you actually figure out why it was able to become the result it was, why you didn't really and there were still some criticisms made, certainly, but why it worked this time and not in previous attempts, right? I mean, you felt pretty good midweek, right? And I haven't joined you since before that midweek match. You felt pretty good, honestly, at home on Wednesday night. You're 70 minutes in. You felt like you've controlled the play. You are up 1-0. And then in the span of 5 minutes, 6 minutes from there, you're now down 2-1 and you can't find the result. And you talk about trying to see like incremental steps of a team that has looked like they're getting better here or there in terms of, all right, it looked like you were the better team for 30 minutes. Now it looked like you were the better team for 40 minutes. Now you're the better team for 60 minutes. But results had stayed the same. None of that had mattered. And then against New England, you're the better team for sure for 70 minutes, and probably after the 80th minute as well. So, but those 10 minutes from 70 to 80, they took control and they won the match. And there was a lot made. I know Saba didn't get to start this weekend, but he had said, "Hey, we're feeling like we're the better team. We just have to find out how to carry it for 90 minutes." And again, you did concede in this match after being up 2-0. Relatively close to going up 2-0. So that's still a discussion about responding to your moments and all that. But it was nice to see them play it out, finish it out. I know there was a little bit of, when they're sending Gavron back into the box there a couple of times, right? There's no way this guy's doing it 2 weeks in a row. So it was funny because I was listening to just before kickoff after Maddie and I had finished pregame, and Mike and Jason were like, I hope we don't see Gavron in the box in the 90th. And then Mike was like, well, actually, I kind of do. Like, that means we're up and they're desperate. And then Jason then corrected, was like, you could also be up 3-0 and he has no point. But obviously, they find a way to get 3 points. This has been a Toronto squad that was pretty high up in the Eastern Conference. They were tied for 5th or 6th there in the East. And so this is a really nice road win. And now it's just about capturing it, right? It's about trying to figure out how it worked, why it worked, dealing with the match compression, trying to repeat this performance, certainly on Tuesday, which for 2 weeks, John, you and I have talked about how this is the most important match you can circle on the schedule, trying to get past Charlotte and advance in the U.S. Open Cup. But again, how did it happen? Why did it happen? And can you make it happen again? I think is the big question. Felt like there was a lot of criticism or defending Alexei Miranchuk this week. I never really understood why. I know that I'm not on, Atlanta United Reddit, whatever it is. I didn't understand why players, Jason, Tata, felt the need to defend Alexei. I had no criticisms. Well, not no criticism, but compared to the other players I could be criticizing, Alexei doesn't rank very high up there. But either way, he gets one of the goals for the second time out there. I think, and I know Moyamba got the final goal here, but Fafa setting him up, it is a beautiful touch. You couldn't have gone out there and rolled it any better. The run to get into the space, the touch to take the weight off of a ball to lay it there for Moyamba. He's making an argument now with a man of the match performance midweek. And now this performance where he sets up Moyamba for the eventual game-winning goal certainly has made his argument, at least to me, on why he should be out there Tuesday night. So, really nice victory. It had been a long time since you kind of felt that way. There's still some nervy moments there at the end when you're 2-1, you're like, please don't let it, come on, just like 4 more minutes. Like, do not leave with 1 point here. But it was nice to get a win. And then now, again, how do you recreate it? How do you recapture it? It's been a terrible start to the season. Frustrating for sure. As while I don't believe this is the best team in MLS, I also don't feel that they're the worst team in MLS. Right. And so, was this result maybe a step towards kind of getting you a little bit closer to what you maybe feel is a true representation of this season? Because I don't think this is the worst team in the Eastern Conference.
No, not by any stretch. To your point about Alexei, and this is a national media thing where Alexei is being lumped into, yes, hydration. Alexei is being lumped into the DP discussion because he is a DP. And it is sadly the idea that, if it's one DP, it's all the DPs that are the issues on any given game day. And it could not be any further from the truth. And after the match, and we'll play this, here in this hour, Alexei was given the captain's armband. He was asked about it by Jason. Alexei didn't want to talk about wearing the captain's armband because, with Miggy being injured, he wanted to talk about the effort that the team gave today on the whole. And we got to see that team response in that second goal. This was the kind of activity and goal and buildup that Tata has been wanting with his approach this entire season. And you see it come from a bunch of different locations. You end up with Cooper Sanchez on what seemed like a run from the 55-yard line there at BMO. And he wasn't touched until he decided he wanted to give up the ball just north of the 18 outside the arc. And then, yes, the touch by Fafa Pico was bordering on filthy, but it's that gravity that we talk about where the pass to Fafa, people are drawn in, and then he kicks it back out, literally a back heel to Tristan. And you see that space that is there for Tristan to convert. And all Tristan has to do is be confident in the shot and smash it in, and he did. That kind of buildup is what you've been looking for this entire time, and you got to see it with a homegrown, an import, and someone who's finding his way as one of the midfield players.
It's one of the first times you genuinely can look at a defense responding to an Atlanta United attack and circle like who's recovering, who's on their heels, who's not in position. It's one of the first times you've been able to kind of force the defense into mistakes because of how quickly the ball moved. And then as they finally responded to Fafa, it's already moved again, right? That's how quick the touch was. And that's why you had that space. But it was one of the few times really all season, but certainly even in this match where you're like, man, they're kind of scrambling on defense right now, and you can take advantage. And they did. And look, it's probably easy to ignore other chances that have been created because sometimes Moyamba is going to sky that shot, right? Like you don't give credit where it's due previous attempts if he doesn't bury the shot. Instead, we're just criticizing Moyamba for blasting it over the bar. That obviously doesn't happen here. I actually do think he was I think Moyamba on the finish was a little bit calmer than we had seen him previously. I actually thought he took something off of the shot. And I think he went for much more of a combo of power, short, but more so placement than just blasting it through the keeper. Like, I don't know, you go back and look at the shot, you're like, man, there's a chance where he really blasts this. There's way more MPH on the ball, and it doesn't come anywhere near the back of the net. It felt like he did take something off of it, maybe realized the space he had, the timing, maybe saw the keeper was, because once the ball comes out to Fafa, the keeper's got to respond to a potential instead of sliding it back towards the center of the goal mouth high. He's got to respond to if Fafa traps this ball, gets it to his left and goes near post, I've got to respond near post here. And so when it does come back out, he's already moved near post. Now he's got to scramble back to cover the backside, which is where Moyamba picks it out. Kind of, again, it's not like he just floats it there, but I do think it was a lot more about placement than power necessarily, although it also did have some good power there. So yeah, it just felt like you had the defense on its heels and finally took advantage. You just haven't said that even for some of the goals Atlanta United has had at times this season. Yeah, not that they're not creative, but it doesn't felt like a defense has been in panic. That's what I saw on the second goal. Obviously, the first goal is just Moyamba, or excuse me, Alexi. Just I mean, you obviously win the foul, but then a moment of brilliance there. But it just hasn't felt like you've been able to confuse a defense with your attack at most times this season. And that's what I saw on that second goal today, or not today, but on the second goal this weekend. So, yeah, more of that would be good.
You're living the entire weekend. So no, the goal that happened yesterday, or the goal that happened this morning. Yes, it's been an entire weekend of thinking about it. And to your point about Alexi, yes, he was wearing the captain's armband, but once again, it was a reinforcement of the idea that when you have him as that point guard that we've been talking about, who's not afraid to shoot when the space is there off his left foot, say from 18 to 24. But when you have Alexi and that imagination working, there's a reason that he's now smooth operator. No need to ask. He is really, you get to see that imagination working and that talent that's there with Alexi, and you got to see it full bore from 20. And that's not something that's an easy hit. And he goes over the wall, and Luka Gavrin had no chance. And that is not an easy thing to convert.
Well, it's another one kind of like Moyen Ball, where you can see it's not full power because he knows full power is going to be over the bar. He's not going to be able to get it over and back down before, but he hits it with enough power to not only get it over but prevent Gavron from coming across. This is one of the issues I've always had as a goalkeeper. You just kind of set your wall and then trust it. And if a guy beats the wall, there's nothing you do as a keeper. Like, you can't get over. You're never going to get over. I think maybe he got even a little slight deflection to it, but you set the wall, and if a guy beats the wall, you kind of just have to tip your cap. So that's kind of tough. It's a tough situation as a keeper, but you also can't, you can't shade one way and then just get beat far post for no reason. So, it's tough. There's nothing you can do. And when it's for Atlanta United, or even if it comes against Atlanta United, when someone goes up and over a wall or even around a wall, around a wall is a goalkeeper issue. You set it up wrong. You shouldn't be able to go around it. But if you go up and over and then back down a wall, you just have to tip your cap to the striker or whoever's taking the shot. And that's what you do for Moranchuk. You speak about, and I've had this discussion with you, John. I've had it with Jason. I've had it with Maddie, Jarrett. I've had it with the whole SDH network at times. And you guys have normally referenced some of the younger kids that have come into this squad and are just about the crest. And it's not about what they do. It's about whatever happens on the pitch as a unit. And we probably don't give Alexi enough credit for that mindset as well. And you kind of touched on it. Like, I don't care if I have the armband. I don't care if he was the one that scored the goal, but he doesn't care if he's the one that scored the goal or not. He just wants to see this team win. And there are definitely players, not just with Atlanta, all across the league that are like, man, I didn't play well tonight. That's a problem. No, the team didn't play well. The team played well or didn't win, whatever it is. Alexi very clearly, and you can listen through multiple seasons now of press conferences and comments, he just wants the team to succeed. And he could not care less if he has 0 shots, 0 passes, whatever. If the team performs well and gets the result, that's what he's about. And so it does feel like he is the perfect guy to wear the armband for a number of reasons in the moment while Miggy is still recovering from that knee injury, because as much as anyone on the pitch, he just wants the team to get the result they feel they deserve if they perform up to it. And he'll tell you we either did perform up to it or didn't perform up to it. He's going to be very honest, not just about himself, but as a unit, if the result was deserved, if it wasn't deserved. And sometimes he'll tell you, I thought we deserved better. Sometimes he'll tell you that we were very lucky to get the result we did. And he's just interested in the final product, whether that be a goal or the match or the game or the season. We've talked a lot about guys who want to give it for the club. He's definitely one of them.
And I was going to kind of get into Alexi's numbers, but I want to talk about his defense for a second. And you mentioned doing what it takes to make sure that you end up with a win. We've talked about all that offensive stuff. He is coming back on defense, and there was one play late before he was subbed out by Will Riley with, I think, 13 to go, where he is coming back and he slides to try to create an issue for a shot to the near post and does enough to disrupt the idea so Lucas Hoyos can kind of keep an eye on it. And it's still a clean look like we talk about in hockey, but you see Alexi come in for the slide tackle, and he's in front of the ball, and the ball does get off the shooter's foot, but he's created enough of a disruption to where it's an easy pickup if it has to be that way. So you're seeing these guys once again coming back, and they're being complete players, doing the offensive work and then coming back for the defensive work to preserve a lead.
Well, look, we've said it really since the beginning. Alexi, with respect to his skills and what he did on Saturday early afternoon, he's not here to score goals. And I think he's best for the team when he's doing a little bit of everything, but more so helping other guys get set up. And so this is not a stat thing. This is, and I think Tata spoke about it in regards to looking at stats, looking at numbers. Like, you can't, some players you could probably judge by the numbers. Alexi's just not one of them because of what he does, right? Like let's just take the play you just diagrammed for us, right? That's probably not a tackle. It's probably not from a statistical standpoint. There's almost nothing you chalk up. But what did he do? He affected the brain of the attacker. He changed the timing of the attacker. He made the attacker think as opposed to just react and play. And when you do that, that now takes a little something off the shot. It now allows Hoyos to do what he's being paid to do as well. It doesn't go statistically anywhere. It's just something that you and I place a little gold star next to.
Yeah.
And so the numbers are, and I've never been, you know me, I'm not a numbers guy. I am a, how does it feel? Is there impact, etc. That to me is how I judge a player's performance. Now, if I'm having tough diagram that, maybe I can use the numbers to support it. But I'm never just going to be like, well, let's see how this guy played. What are the numbers say? No, watch the game and kind of get a feel for the impact in all aspects. And I think that is where Alexi is probably strongest. In that's what sort of the discussion has been. It's the things you can't judge off of a stat sheet that his impact might be as heavy as it is with the team leading goals, the assists, and the vision and the danger and all the other things he is.
Nothing like intangibles, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like Jimmy the Greek all of a sudden in category number 5, the intangible. Now, once again, you got you fly home on Saturday and you kind of, cashed out. Maybe you slept in a little bit on Sunday. Maybe you went to bed early on Saturday. You get up early on Sunday. You've got practice today. And then you've got to head up to Charlotte because of the Open Cup. And Charlotte right now, they're reeling. I mean, they were taking a lot of body shots against Nashville on the weekend. And so I think you might be catching Charlotte at a good time, considering their issues at the back and what you saw with yourself in Toronto and an opportunity to get into the final 8. I think it's 8 with a win, if my math is right, in Open Cup. So you get the chance to seize on a positive with an opportunity coming up in short order.
And this is where you talk about what can you circle, what can you diagram from what worked on Saturday, and how do you repeat it? This is about picking that momentum and carrying momentum, right? We talked about it. Hey, they did this in the U.S. Open Cup, albeit against Chattanooga. How can you bring that now into MLS play? And it's the flip. You did this now in MLS play. How can you carry it over against an MLS opponent, albeit into U.S. Open Cup play? And is there a carryover effect? You've seen this team be a little bit more dangerous in terms of scoring goals recently. They 3 in the U.S. Open Cup. They got 2 on this one. They obviously had that lead for a long time against New England. So what can you bring into it? And then also we finally are starting to pull a little bit away because it's a Tuesday game of that match compression, right? Yes, you're still in it now and you'll be dealing with it through Tuesday, but after Tuesday, you have a little bit longer time now. And then obviously extended break is coming within reason as well. But what lineup are you running out there? How did this match Saturday early afternoon get you set up for running your best lineup out there? I know you had to make a couple of unplanned substitutions. Tough to see Cayman Togashi be forced out with injury, and you wonder what the impact was, what the plan was going in, and how, again, in my mind, everything had to work backwards from Tuesday. Everything had to be built around whatever you believe is your best lineup right now being out there on Tuesday. And so we'll see if it is Fafa, who has been dangerous for a couple of matches now. We'll see if Miggy is any closer to returning, if he gets back in there. You still like what Jay Fortune has given you. I still like what I've seen from Matt Edwards, but it'll be interesting to see how you match up with a Charlotte team that you're certainly familiar with in U.S. Open Cup. But the last couple of matches to me all have to have been building towards this. This is much, in my opinion, still much more significant than a current regular season MLS result. It was great to get the win on Saturday. Don't get me wrong. But if a win Tuesday had to come at the expense of a loss Saturday, I would have traded that. You'll have to settle for a win in both, I guess, at this point.
Do we know broadcast plans?
It is going to be on Star 94, obviously competing with the Hawks playoff game. They need a win as well on Tuesday night. So it's going to be on Star 94. I don't believe there's pre and post game just because of broadcast stuff, but I haven't actually had a chance to talk with Mike Conti and confirm that. But 7 o'clock start, 94 U.S. Open Cup action against Charlotte.
Yep, a little after, like 7:03 is the official kick. As always, my friend, great to see you to bat leadoff with us to break everything down as we get into more of the deep dive after you leave us. And so we will catch up with you in a week unless you get mad and you want to come in and talk about other stuff. We'll see you soon, my friend.
Yeah, we're hoping for 2 results positively to talk about next time I chat with you.
There you go. We'll see you soon.
You got it.
There he goes, Abe Gordon batting leadoff as he always does. And so that's the rundown for what is on Abe's mind. And obviously with what's going on the Twitch pitch, everybody let me know what's going on with on your mind here this morning. I know that we've had some talks about the starting 11 and how you roll from there. All right, so let's get into some of the stats and the numbers and the goals and the posts. Let's not waste any time with that because Bart Keeler joining us at the top of the hour, talking Yanks abroad, talking about Dog-So, talking about the goal in the New England game and the goals that were taken off the board in the New England game. So we'll get into that. There were 2 moments that I wanted to discuss with Bart from what happened last night. One that wasn't called and one that was. Then there's a moment in Philly that I wanted to get into that was late, that was called, and I wanted to get his opinion on it. We'll walk you through it, obviously, without video accompaniment. But there's plenty to talk about with Bart, Yanks abroad, and all that kind of stuff. So when Bart joins us at 10, we'll go into that. Then with your news of the morning, like I said, we've got some stuff involving Kylian Mbappe that we have to get into. Xavi Simone, we have to get into that. And a couple of other players and things that we get into as well. And then obviously to noon, we've got Red Clay Soccer Monday, where we break up what's going on in the high school game since we're starting week 2 of the playoffs. Then tonight at 8, it is Soccer Over There. And I've got the list of things for Soccer Over There to get into. It is stuff going on in Serie A and Serie B with officials and VAR, and it ain't good. You've got a possible another bid, possibly another bid. Yes, and Lamine Yamal, Del, we got to get into that. Possibly another bid for a Premier League club by a former Premier League owner who is now, or part owner, who is now getting more backing, and it might be either the club that she was previously a part of or a club that might need the investment. We've got to get into what happened in the National League, and what I mean by that is the 5th division in England. With that finish, not Atlanta, Philly, Mets, Marlins, that kind of National League, but the National League in England, because it was crazy, and it probably reinforces the thought by some of the clubs in the 5th division that they need to change their promotion structure. It looks like it's the end of an era with Gignac in Liga MX at Tigres, and he had his send-off there as well. And so that's just kind of getting things started. Obviously, hour number 2 is going to be picks of the week, and we'll get you into that. So that's what we're kind of getting into at 8 o'clock tonight with Soccer Over There. So there's plenty to get into on the international stage, but we'll get you into the highlights and get you ready for SOT tonight at 8 and all the activity that's happening today. All right, now let's get you into the highlights, and here's where we go: highlights and post from the Atlanta United matchup. Everything courtesy, obviously, of 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. There was a moment that Abe referenced early, and technically it was in the 23rd minute, and Keeman Togashi, after what was thought to be a goal, was called offside on VAR. And when you look at a replay, when you finally got to look at a replay, yes, Keeman was offside. But in the defensive action, he went down, and it looked like he kind of was clipped by the defender, and he tried to continue and could not. And so after about 25 minutes, Latte Lot comes in, gives you 65. And we're still waiting on any kind of an update on Keeman. Tata Martino did acknowledge after the match that Keeman Togashi, he said his ankle was pretty swollen and that they were going to come back and have the physios and the doctors look at it. with the energy that we saw from Kaman. That's the kind of energy that we've noticed against Chattanooga. We noticed it against Toronto. We noticed it. And unfortunately, injury kept him from creating issues at the back against Toronto on the weekend. No update yet on Kaman Togashi. So you're goalless at the break. And then early in the second half, you had Ismail Elfath. There were some moments where you're kind of going, okay, so you call it this way, and then same situation, you don't call it. Putting that to the side, there was a foul by Josh Sargent, who looked incredulous that he was whistled for a foul on Jay Fortune, and then it sets it up just outside the 18. And because it is just outside the 18, you're kind of wondering, okay, who's going to take it? Well, we have our answer, and we have the result, courtesy of 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Little AM59 for you on a Monday.
Toronto has everyone in the wall. Action at the goal to our left. Ball square to the near post.
Well, there's a player that's inside of 10 yards. I mean, I don't know what we're doing here. Give him a yellow card. Give him a yellow card for delaying the restart.
Yeah, that's
he knows what he's doing.
It's Osorio. It's encroachment.
Yeah, back up. Give him a yellow card for not following instructions.
Moyenba to the left. Moranchuk to the right. Alexei goes for goal. Score! Alexei Moranchuk from Russia with love from 20 yards out on a direct free kick in Atlanta United. That one cannot be overturned. It's 1-0.
Moranchuk's pass creates the free kick that Fortune earned. And then the smooth operator steps up and puts it in the roof of the net. Luka Gavron could have had 20 players in the wall. It wouldn't have mattered. Golazo, Alexei Moranchuk.
And that was your first goal on the board. That was 1-0 at that point. And to the other issue with the crew that I had, there was a moment in the 57th where Elias Baez basically gets hammered from behind by Derek Etienne Jr., and you really don't get the chance to see it. And I guess it's the occupational hazard of perhaps having a game produced from over an ocean away and lack of cameras, or cameras in position, or cameras not behaving well because of conditions. But we didn't get to see a replay, although I think it happened directly in front of Mike and Jason, because it was happening low right corner. If you were watching the match on television, it happened low right corner. I think that was where they were. And if they got to see, I think it was Elias Baez get hit from behind by Derek Etienne Jr., no call. Then you have a substitution. Fafa comes in the 60th, and he comes in for Luke Brennan, who gave you 60 minutes. And so I would probably anticipate the reverse happening tomorrow night, that Fafa might start and you try to get a result against Charlotte, and then Luke comes in for the final 30 and tries to run you into the ground. Josh Sargent called for another foul in the foul on Sargent that was called in the 61st. Coelho from 30 hits it wide. Then in the 67th minute, you end up with that team goal that we were talking about. And it literally was, homegrown, import, established player in a position of strength. And so here's goal number 2 on the board. Tristan Muyumba getting credit for it by the end. Once again, there's your courtesy. 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app.
Back in the midfield now to Sanchez. Back further to the right halfway line, Gregerson. Squared near center spot to Tristan Muyumba. Atlanta from right to left here in the second half. Gregerson down the far touchline to Edwards. Ahead to Moranchuk, back to Edwards, to Moranchuk again, all on the right wing. Carries it back towards center circle. Reverses to the far side. Gives it to Sanchez. Flicked ahead. Fortune off Sanchez to Muyumba. Back to Sanchez. Driving down the middle. Has space. Right of the arc. Ahead to Fafa. Backheel. And a shot. Score! Golazo! Tristan Muyumba! What a team goal by Atlanta United! They've got a 2-0 lead!
That is the soccer Tata Martino wants from this team. That is what he's been building the whole time. The whole sequence starts with Atlanta playing confidently through the middle of the park. Cooper Sanchez at the heart of it. Jay Fortune involved. Everyone getting touches. And then it's laid off to Tristan Muyumba, making the run out of his deep-lying defensive midfield role. Papa Pico just drops it back to him. First time with the left foot. World-class finish, Muyumba. World-class goal, Atlanta United.
That's as pretty a team goal as you're going to see.
Not lying. And so that was goal number 2. You would get a goal on a great header by Emilio 5 minutes later from 15 yards out. And Kobe Franklin would give you the assist. They would go triple subs. Galarza would come in for Cooper Sanchez, while Riley would come in for Miranchuk with 13 to go. And Atlanta United would hang on by the final of 2-1. And so let me go into a couple of stats on a couple of the players in the starting 11. I did mention Alexi's numbers, at least defensively. I'll get into Alexi's and Tristan's in just a little bit. So you look at the numbers on the board, and I'm going to individual players. I'm not going to get wrapped up in team stats. Alexi on the day, and I mentioned defensive numbers. Alexi had a defensive contribution, an interception, 4 recoveries, and he wins 2 duels along the way. And so, and like we were talking about, like that one disruption late, those kinds of things don't end up in the standard stat sheet. But you get to see that from players like Alexi who come back and are there for you on offense and on defense. 43 touches for Alexi Miranchuk on the afternoon. And it seemed like it was a lot more than that. It really did. Only 43 touches for Alexi. And he had a progressive carry on the day. He had 8 carries. One of them was progressive, and the progressive distance in the carry was almost 20 meters. So when he's got it and it's a progressive carry, it went for a while for Alexi against Toronto. 24-31 passing at 77%. 3 long balls completed by Alexi as well. And then the shooting numbers had the goal. XG at about a quarter of a point, 2 total shots, and had the 1 shot on target. Now, to get you into Tristan, who graded out the highest for the starting lineup for Atlanta United. We'll get into the starting lineup in a bit. Tristan on the afternoon, obviously, with the shooting numbers, he had 0.13 expected on the 1 shot on the 1 goal. Expected goals on target was 1/3 of a point, and had the 1 shot on target. Passing for Tristan in the afternoon, it was 1 key pass, 84% passing at 41 of 49, had 1 long ball on the afternoon, and passes in the opposition half, he was 18 of 23. On the dribble for Tristan, 69 touches. Nice. He had 1 successful dribble, 15 carries on the afternoon. Then defensively for Tristan, it was 6 different categories that he registered in. 8 defensive contributions on the whole. Won every tackle that he was involved in. He was 4 for 4 on tackles. 2 picks, 2 clears, 3 recoveries, 6 of 11 on his duels on the afternoon. But think about that. We talk about coming back on defense with the offensive output that you're seeing with Atlanta United. Winning every tackle that he was a part of on the afternoon. Every tackle he was a part of, 4 for 4. I can't remember a number that high, frankly, for a midfielder for Atlanta United in a while. Starting lineup, it was Hoyos in net, left to right, Bias, Barakal, Stian Gregerson, and Matt Edwards. Tristan was in front of them as one of the sixes. Luke, Jay, Cooper. How's that? And I will say you this. SofaScore has it listed as a 4-1-4-1. Traditionally it's like a 4-2-3-1, something like that. But when you look at the 4-1-4-1 as it's laid out by SofaScore, and you see Luke, Jay, Cooper, homegrown, you end up with those numbers, and then obviously Alexi grading out number 2, and then Cayman Togashi, he had the early numbers, and then he was subbed after 25 minutes. Then you have Latte Lot coming in for Togashi, Fafa coming in for Luke, and then Riley and Galarza coming in for Alexi and Cooper along the way. Injuries to keep an eye on: Jacob, who was kind of questionable going in, Alzate with a groin, Sergio Santos with the troublesome calf, and then Miggy still monitoring the knee injury. So that was what you got to see out of Atlanta United on the afternoon in the win in Toronto. So let's get you into post-match comments that we got to get along the way. And one of them was a conversation that was had by Jason with Matt Edwards. And this is Jason and Matt after the match. Once again, you might hear a bit of the bus. You may, but apologies if you do. So you end up with Jason and Matt Edwards after the match, and here's their conversation before everybody headed back out of Ontario to Atlanta.
Here outside of BMO Field with Matt Edwards. Matt, I said to Tata, I thought it was your best game as a pro today. You were immense for this team. What does this kind of a win mean?
It's a big momentum shift for us. We had to dig deep mentally, and I think it was a big character moment for us to get a result here. We were disappointed after the New England game, and as a group we came together and we stuck this one out, and it showed a lot from our team and what we're capable of. But it's just a start and something we need to build on as a group.
I think it showed a lot on both sides. I mean, that second goal was beautiful, and that's the kind of soccer that it feels like has been building but hasn't quite materialized yet.
Yeah. I think today we finished our chances that we got. We did what we needed to get the result today, and we need to take it on to Tuesday when we play Charlotte.
And then as it got dicey at the end, and it happens in games, it's cold, it's miserable, the conditions are tough, they're throwing everything forward. Just how important was it to get the result in that moment?
It was so huge. I think we let it slip again against New England, and we learned from that moment, I think, as a group, and we use it for today in our mentality. Each one of us defensively, we all stuck in to get the result. We know how important this was to us.
And how important is it to you personally to have guys like Jay and Cooper and Luke and Will all playing such huge roles for it?
It's huge. I think this club at times can be built on the youth, and we understand what being part of Atlanta means, and we play for the badge. I think that's the most important thing, and then we all have each other's back. We know what we're good at and not good at, and we all have a good chemistry with each other, so it's huge for all of us.
Matt, big congrats. We'll see you in Charlotte.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Matt Edwards after the match with Jason, and that will start the post-game parade that we have here. Next up on the board is the conversation that was had with Alexi after the match. And so the way that it worked post-game was that you had Tata come in first, and then you grab a player to come in and discuss. We're going to work backward. We're going to start with Alexi, and it's a couple of minutes with Alexi and the questions that Jason got to ask in the post-game scrum. So here's the conversation. Here's the post-game interview with Alexi and Jason's questions for Alexi after the match.
I said it to Tata, you wearing the armband today, it felt like you gave a real captain's kind of performance. How important is this kind of win for this group?
I mean, I don't want to talk about the band because obviously Miguel is out, and it gives me more responsibility, of course, but nothing than that. And yeah, today we talk about even though it was a great goals, but we talk about team and how the team perform and attitude of the players, not only staff and everybody. And it was well deserved.
I'll let others ask about the free kick because I know they've got questions. But I want to talk about the second goal. That felt like the kind of soccer that this team's been wanting to play, and it all came together.
Yes, it came from the short passes, movement. That's what we wanted, and that's what we get. So we want eights to go inside the box and be dangerous, which Coops goes there and Trees goes there. So that's why it's worked out.
There were big defensive plays as well with players doing things on the other side, and you were one. You had a huge defensive play on Josh Sargent, making it difficult for him to get a shot off top of the 18. Matt Edwards had a number of series, the big defensive plays. That grit, how important is that for the team going forward?
It's really important for from my perspective of attacker players, because if I see my defenders doing his job really well and fighting for winning the balls, it gives me energy, it gives me things. I want to help him, I want to help the team. So they're really important and they did a great job today. I'm happy for them.
That was Alexi after the match, and a couple of things from the Matt Edwards interview and from Alexi, and we kind of got into the bits and pieces of Alexi with Abe, where Alexi didn't want to talk about the he didn't want to talk about the win. I mean, he didn't want to talk about the captain's armband. I mean, he didn't want to talk about the captain's armband, and for him, it was about the win. And with Matt, once again that point that we get to almost be first about, because with all of you that have gotten the chance to be with us as we've covered the twos all the time, you get to see everybody come through. And you heard Matt actually reference the fact that they play for the badge. And for, that's for those of us who've been able to see them come up through the twos, and we see them, stand up for one another and stand up for, teammates in Atlanta United and everything, no surprise. But to hear Matt say it, I thought it was, once again, a reaffirmation of what we knew when it came to this particular club and how things are with the younger players. So let me get into Matt's numbers before we head to Tata Martino in post. Hang on. So I can't spell Atlanta either, apparently. All right. So Matt Edwards' numbers. And we will get Tata to discuss Matt Edwards on the afternoon. So Matt's numbers in this match: 6 defensive contributions, 5 clearances, 2 recoveries. He won all of his duels but one. He was 4 for 5. And that was Matt defensively on the day. 65 touches at right back, had 14 carries and a total progression of just under a meter every time. Passing numbers for Matt: 35 of 43. He had 1 cross, he had 1 key pass, had 1 big chance created, and 3 for 5 on long balls, passes in the opposition half. He completed 17 of 24. And so it was well-rounded by Matt, but I know that, a lot of folks might be looking at the turnover late, where Barakal did save that particular turnover from turning into a shot for Toronto as you're trying to nurse a lead. But look at those numbers from Matt, and once again reinforcing the notion that the guys know what it means. And before we get into Tata, well, actually, no, we'll play Tata and then we'll play Robin Fraser, because Robin Fraser was something that I had to grab, and I wanted to see if it was doctored in any way when it came to the soundbite. So here's, after the match, here is Tata Martino with Jason to start off the press conference section, once again, courtesy of Atlanta United. Jason with the Q&A.
What did you think about the overall performance of the team today?
El primer tiempo me gustó mucho.
The first half I really liked.
No fue donde pudimos convertir, pero creo que manejamos mucho del partido y sufrimos bastante poco, controlamos bien el juego.
We weren't able to score, but I thought we controlled the game well. We didn't suffer a lot, but we controlled the play.
En el segundo tiempo fuimos más concretos a la hora de cara al gol, pero salvo un tramo importante después del 2-1, habíamos perdido el control del juego.
In the second half, we were able to be more concrete in front of goal, and with the exception of one stance in the game from in between the goals.
How did you feel with the second goal? It felt like that's the kind of goal that you've been building this team to create.
Yes.
What did it make you feel?
Esto es un poco lo que hablábamos el otro día respecto a qué equipo queremos tener respecto a la gente. Y yo lo que pienso cuando hacemos un gol como el segundo, lo primero que pienso es qué dirá la gente cuando ve este gol, ¿no?
It's a little bit has to do with what we talked about in the press conference about what kind of style we want to play for the fans. So I think, when people see a goal like that, what are they feeling and what kind of emotions they're feeling.
He doesn't show up on the stat sheet a lot today, but I thought that was maybe Matt Edwards' best game as a professional on the right side. How have you rated his last couple of starts?
Igual no sale en los números tanto, o sea, las estadísticas no salen tan buenos, pero Matt tiene, en su opinión, tuvo uno de sus mejores partidos como profesional. ¿Cómo lo viste hoy?
Sí, hizo un buen partido. Eh, Matt está dentro del grupo de chicos jóvenes y que son del club que a nosotros tanto nos entusiasma. Y cuando nosotros lo necesitamos, él siempre da muy buenas respuestas. Así que nosotros estamos muy contentos por Matt, estamos muy contentos por Cooper, estamos muy contentos por Luke, estamos muy contentos por Jai, estamos muy contentos por Will. O sea, a nosotros eso nos da eh, mucha ilusión de cara al futuro.
Matt is within the group of young players who have come up through the club who we're very excited about. So whenever we need him, we know that he's able to come in and he's always ready and does what we're asking him to do. So we're very excited about not only him but the other young players who Tata mentioned, Luke, Cooper, Jay, Will, and this group of young players.
The last one for me, with Miguel out, Alexi wore the armband today and really felt like he gave a captain kind of performance. How important is he to everything you want to do?
Hoy con la ausencia de Miguel, que Alexi fue el capitán del equipo y dio un performance de capitán. ¿Qué tan importante es para el grupo?
Siempre es lo que esperamos de nuestros mejores futbolistas. Y esto es lo que esperamos de él, que ya para mí lo había hecho muy bien en el partido anterior, pese a la derrota. Y por supuesto que siempre es lo que esperamos de Miguel cuando podemos tenerlo, ¿no? Yo no tengo ninguna duda de que ellos están en plenas condiciones de liderarnos desde el aspecto futbolístico. Y creo que lo hacen muy bien.
This is what we expect from our best players, and so he had a good performance today. I also thought, despite the loss, he had a very good performance in the last match. But yeah, this is what we expect, not only from Miguel and Alexi. That we want them to be the leaders, soccer speaking, on the field, and so this is what we expect of those two.
Tata Martino after the match, and now around the corner, and I mean literally, Bart Keeler is going to join us to talk about things. That's the official term. All right, one more soundbite that I wanted to give you, and I didn't know if I was going to have to bleep it or not, but the home team took it upon themselves to just go dead air on it. So here was a question to Robin Fraser after the match. I've got the transcript. If it's a little hard to follow, we might get into it a bit. So here's one question to Robin Fraser after the match, courtesy of Toronto FC.
Can you say that? I'm not sure you can say that, but yeah, it's disappointing. This is a team that, whether we've played well, played poorly, started well, started poorly, at the end of the day, we've found ways to get results and keep moving forward, whether it's, even if it's a point at a time. And because this group never quits, you almost start to expect that we're going to come back and that we're going to tie it. And this is a game. It's not always going to go your way, but it's extremely disappointing, obviously. But again, I can take positives out of it. I mean, the mentality that we showed toward the end was excellent. But as I said, we need to see that kind of from the beginning and not after we're down.
Robin Fraser, the head coach of Toronto FC, and the word that I was trying to figure out if they had doctored was ish, but that was not the word in and of itself. But our version, for the sake of lack of bleeping, is ish. Robin was asked how it feels, question. It was on what the taste of defeat feels like today. And so Robin says, can you say like ish? Can you say that? And so they just laid out completely instead of bleeping it or something. I was about ready to bleep it. That was the other reason I came out at 9:06, because I was trying to figure out if I had to bleep it, if I was going to leave it, or if they went dead air, and they went dead air. So Robin Frazier feels like ish after this match. It's hour number 1. And that means that hour number 2, we get to check in on Bart Keeler and find out what's on Bart's mind. And I know that there's a moment that we have to get into from the first half of New England, and I get to figure out if I get anything resembling a gold star for how I was referring to it. So, Bart Keeler, sir, do I get a gold star for how I was discussing what happened with New England and Atlanta?
John, that was like a whole week ago. So run me through how you discussed it, because I do remember y'all talking about it in a fairly correct way.
Okay, so basically we were trying to determine why the goal was taken off the board. And the way that I had laid it out was that when a keeper is screened, well, and it's two separate things. Basically, the player was in an offside position at the time that the shot was taken by New England. Defender is in front of the player from New England, but at the same time, the player for New England who is in an offside position is screening the keeper. So it was like two separate things, but the biggest thing was you got to look at offside and how they interact within the laws of the game. And so basically it was that was how I was looking at it, was, and the fact that we had that all 22 at halftime that the Hoff and I had, where you could kind of look down and look directly at it, where you saw the player A, offside, and B, in line of sight, disrupting Lucas Hoyos. It was two separate items, but walk everybody through it.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say Lucas Hoyos is lucky that someone screened him, quote, because I think that was just a great goal. And he was going to concede it, and not his fault by any stretch, but he's lucky because I think this is where I disagree with conclusion, to be quite frank, but I understand how they got there, because there definitely is a defender who is, I won't say in the line of sight, because I disagree with that assessment, but definitely in the line of has to be aware of the person in front of them, if that makes sense.
In the periphery, yeah.
And I do think, I think that's eventually why this is called back, because he is there. Now, did we need to take, 17 minutes or however long it took to finally reach that conclusion? Probably not. And that's what I have the most problem with here, John, because in my opinion, and I think in yours as well, it's pretty clear that the player is in an offside position. I don't understand why it took so long to determine that. I also don't understand why it took so long to look at the scenario and go, okay, is he in the line of sight, or is he in a position to affect the goalkeeper's ability to make this save? Now, first off, no, because Hoyos was not making that save. No goalkeeper was making that save. But that's not what we're considering here, right? We're not considering.
We're putting superhuman ability off to the side for a moment. We're putting
an absolute banger is not relevant to the conversation here, because look, Hoyos had a great view at it, and sometimes as a goalkeeper you go, well, damn. But he did have a player in his scope of vision. Again, I don't want to say line of sight. I don't like that phrase for this particular incident. Right. But when you look at it, you go, okay, there is a reasonable case to be made that Hoyos or any goalkeeper would have needed to be aware of this player in front of him and therefore possibly not make the save. I just don't necessarily agree with the conclusion they made. Mainly because I think the first thing for me is the and this isn't necessarily how it works, but this is me speaking a little bit out of turn as a not as a referee right now. The shot was not taken to the side of the goal that the defender was on, but that's not really something we're looking at. But I do think that when you look at this from the all 22, you see a player in an offside position. For me, not particularly affecting play, but in a position where he possibly could. And I think that's the unfortunate thing for New England is he's there and he's certainly in front of goal and is certainly in front of the goalkeeper where he may have to make a save, right?
Yeah.
Again, my biggest problem with all of this is taking so long to go, yes, the player is in offside position. Yes, the player affected, therefore gained an advantage from being in an offside position. And I don't agree with that process. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, so basically, Terjeman was offside when the shot was taken.
Totally.
So,
Totally.
Terjeman was offside. He's behind the last Atlanta defender.
Should have been the easiest thing to determine, John.
I mean, and like I said, look, we had the all 22. We had that all 22 that was hovering over the 18. And you see a white dot closest to the net, kind of just outside the 6. And so last time I checked, when there's a dude not in the home team jersey and he's behind everybody else and he's the one that's closest to the net, am I wrong in not saying that he's the dude that's offside?
Yeah, he was offside. Again, that's why I'm like, how did this take so long? He's offside. What are we talking about here? So,
I mean, yeah. So
the
bottom line is, Terjeman was offside, and so you're registered as impacting the play, and so like I said, screen, periphery, whatever you want to call it, but offside. End of story. Bang, boom, move on. But if you want to continue to work through it, it's you're in line of sight, impacting the play, and the defender's position on Terjeman in front of him does not matter in the laws of the game if I've got this right. So literally, this should have been the easiest thing in the world. I say one sentence, you're done. Terjeman is offside, period. Bang, that's it. I mean, that's it, right? Terjeman's offside, end of story.
It should be that simple, John. Either he's okay. Again, we'll break it down step by step. Is he in an offside position? Yes.
Yes.
Does he gain an advantage by interfering with an opponent in that offside position? I'm not confident that he truly did, but I think to me that should be a did he or didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this should take 3 minutes of film to go through that. But what do I know? I will say this is not a goal that would be called back. This is not something called back without VAR. But I think that's 100% correct. If this happens in, it's a goal.
Okay. I mean, that's the beauty of VAR. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you want it, and sometimes you need it, and sometimes it may actually function. So, what in the wide world of sports is going on when we're sitting here and we're liking VAR for a change? Anyway, all right. So, a couple of other matches that I wanted to discuss stuff with you about, and the tail end of Columbus and Philly, where at 90+5, you end up with a dog so red on Sari Larson on what was looking like it was going to be yet another breakaway. Some folks were looking at this and they were going, fam, I'm not digging this one. I'm not digging this one as a dog so red. When my video loads, I'll be more than happy to help walk through this. But if your video is already loaded, then you can go ahead and walk through it.
I'll try. So a ball from I think it's Chiare, our old friend. A ball to Chiare is played through, and he kind of spins. If I remember correctly, this is off a set piece. Philly's pushed up trying to get a goal because they're down 2-0. They need a goal. Ball gets played in Chiare, kind of a through ball-ish, but he basically gets a quick touch and turns the defender, and he races through. No?
No, I'm just like, I'm looking at it, and it's kind of like, and it's our boy Philip Dujic. Well, and so I'm looking at the play in and of itself, and so it's at the edge of the 18, and Columbus defending. Columbus sends a long ball over the top once they have possession. Then it's headed to Jamal, and Jamal and Sari Larson are basically at center line, and they're going hip to hip, and so that's when it starts. So
so Jamal is in possession. I think that's the key that I want to make. I think you can ascertain Columbus / Jamal Chiare is in possession here, and I do think that is a key element to the rest of your story.
So as Jamal has the ball go off his right hip, imagine I'm Jamal Chiare, and Jamal is trying to gain possession. Ball goes past his right hip. He turns and is trying to go into the offensive half, and the ball's off of his left hip, and he's racing for it. You're about 30. Yeah, so it goes through. You're about 30-something yards away. It looks like he and Sari Larson are just kind of hand fighting, and they're trying to kind of jostle over one another to try and figure out, okay, I'm gonna get possession. No, I'm gonna get it away from you, so on and so forth. And then in the hand fighting, they both go down, and Jamal ends up being taken down by Sari Larson. Dujic basically stands there, instantly goes, and he's waiting for the end result. He's got his red card out initially, and then he bangs up Sari Larson for it. Then we go to close up. Jamal chests it down, and they literally look like they're hugging each other, and they both go down. But Sari Larson gets a red out of that. What do you think?
So I think let's just start with the ultimate decision that was made is that this is dog-so. This is a dog-so foul, right? So Sari Larson has been deemed to foul Jamal Chiare in a spot that I think is very clearly dog-so. Just saying.
Yeah.
Again, goal scoring opportunity, not a goal, right? So all 4Ds criteria are met. Distance to goal a little farther than I think you would probably want, but like 35 yards, that's close enough, right, for a goal scoring opportunity. When you also consider, okay, well, how many defenders are back? It's him and the goalkeeper, that's it. Direction of play, well, you're headed toward goal. I think that's pretty fair to say. And distance to the ball, again, this is fairly, like, they're basically dribbling the ball. It's not like, he's not running on to a through ball necessarily at this point. This is him in possession dribbling. So all 4Ds of the dog-so criteria met. Is this a foul? Then is the question. And I think that's where people have an issue with it. And I see why this was called a foul. I think that's the ultimate decision of if it's foul and it's in this position, then it's a red card. And that's really what it comes down to from Dujic, is that he thought it was a foul. I don't disagree with him. VAR clearly did not disagree with him. Yes, there's some hand fighting, but I think ultimately the defender pulls and kicks a little bit the attacker from behind. And I think that's ultimately what happens here is Chiare does gain a slight advantage in the foot race, and then therefore the foul comes from behind. So whether it's a legitimate play on the ball or not, I think this is fairly legitimate play on the ball. It's still a foul in a dog-so area, denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity area, which, again, we're like, 30, 35 yards out from goal. All 4 criteria are met. It's a red card. It just is. I don't think – I understand why Philly is upset, but this is an example of, okay, you're going to get mad at the referee for something that has nothing to do with the fact that you let, a right wing back score 2 goals on you from making runs 30 yards off the ball that you didn't track them twice. But sure, blame the referee for you not being able to pick up a runner from 25 yards off the ball. Sure. By the way, you were already down 2-0 at this. By the way, John, again, this happened in 90 plus 3 or something like that. Like
90 plus 4.
This had no effect on the game whatsoever. Plus 4, sorry. No effect on the game, right? But they're gonna focus on this because why focus on accountability? No coach focuses on accountability when you can blame the referee.
Yeah, I mean that's. But yeah, so I was. I looked at that and I was like, yeah, there were folks who were wondering if that was dog-so, and some folks were looking at it. Yes,
it's
no,
absolutely dog-so. Again, it's dog-so. All 4 criteria are met. I know that there's probably going to be some case that someone's going to say, oh, well, there's a defender kind of coming in. If you don't make this foul, Chare isn't, like, the defender that's running in isn't a factor, right? I think the contention is this a foul? And I understand why people are a little mad at it, but I think had this not been a red card, people wouldn't have been upset about it. But the problem is he still committed this foul in an area of the field, in a spot on the field where you're going to get a red card for it, right, in that situation. So I think that's why people are mad, because they go, well, that shouldn't be a red card. Well, it should be, because he fouled him in a goal-scoring opportunity. Therefore, he denied a goal-scoring opportunity, and therefore it's a red card. You can't get mad that the laws of the game say if you foul someone in a relatively close distance to goal as the final defender back, while the attacker is going toward goal and in a playable distance to the ball, if you foul someone in that position, it's a red card. That's not the referee's fault for applying the laws of the game. It's, but I think people are more upset that it is a foul. Again, I think they're upset it's a foul because of the red card, not because whether or not it's a real foul or not.
Yes. Now there's 2 moments from Sunday Night Soccer that I want to get into, and I've got to. And strangely enough, the first moment, which happened in the first half, is not in the highlight package, and so we might have to walk folks through it. And it's probably the one.
It's not.
Get Pablo Mastroeni a fine. More than anything else, but I've got to try. Let me see if I can find. We'll go with the second one because we have the video evidence there that you will end up with a PK opportunity late, and it ended up being the eventual game-winning goal for Los Angeles. So, MLS Newcomer of the Year. Okay, so 83rd minute. And it is an opportunity for LAG to get the eventual game-winning goal. And so possession from the left for LA Galaxy. Ball goes over a challenge that is 8 or 10 yards away from goal. And so it's an entry pass, and you end up with hand fighting just outside the 6, and one of the RSL players is being grabbed by an LAG defender. RSL player goes down, and then you end up with change of possession and a whistle. No hesitation on the PK call, and you end up with a card being issued. And so, literally, to me, this one's kind of a slam dunk because you're grabbing right there the middle of the jersey. Yes, the fall, I think, is accentuated a little bit, but, you're going to do what you do.
So I think the controversy here is not with the foul itself. Mm-hmm. It's with the time that passes between the foul and the recognition of the foul, the advantage that's played, and then when eventually that foul is given. Because RSL after multiple attempts by LA to score, by the way. They had at least 2 bites at the apple. RSL clears, and then the foul is given. And I won't deny that I have a little bit of issue with this, because in my view, LA has at least 2 chances to capitalize on said advantage and squander it themselves. For me, I would not be bringing this back for the advantage, because, in my opinion, you lost the advantage by having at least 1 actual chance to score. I think that's the issue here, is how long does that advantage apply for?
Yeah. Okay. So,
and my normal rule of thumb is I have 2 rules of thumb. One is, did the player who got fouled, were they in possession while getting fouled, and did they lose possession? Right? I'm a little more, I give a little bit more time for that, right? Because a lot of times, I call this kind of like the Messi rule, where Messi gets fouled a lot, but he stays on his feet and keeps running. Despite what people want to talk about him, he does. Sometimes, after the 3rd time you get kicked, or after a little bit, you maybe get fouled once or twice, but you keep going, and then you run into a defender, lose the ball. Okay, well, we'll bring it back here for a foul. That's if you're in possession. But if you get fouled, the ball maintains in possession of your team. For some way, I'm a little more not as hesitant or not as lenient with that, because if you have the possession and then you yourself lose possession, like you make a bad pass, someone else picks up the ball, dribbles a couple times, and then the next pass is a bad touch. That's not, and this is what I think happens here. That's, you lost the advantage,
right?
In my opinion, right? This is me. Now, I have not sat through the MLS referee training seminars every year.
What?
Right? So I'm not quite sure what they're telling them there. I just think that this was a little bit too long of time passed between, there's the foul, I see it. A player still maintains possession, fires across the goal mouth, where I don't know why no one in a white shirt was there. And then eventually it kind of gets blocked, and LA player still gets a chance to shoot the ball, but because they don't have a good touch, it goes away, and RSL is able to clear. Sounds to me like you lost the advantage. Not the advantage was lost because of the foul. That's just me. Also, I think my other problem here is, while the foul did affect the play in some way, the foul itself was not in a, and we're going back to dog show, even though it doesn't quite apply, it's not a goal-scoring chance here. It's not like he got fouled while dribbling it on goal. It was a hopeful cross that they were trying to get a header on that, okay, he's fouled on, sure, but I don't know. I have some issues with taking this long to come back and call the foul.
Okay, I think I found the moment in the first half with the no call involving LAG and RSL. And so Cabral sends it long down the left-hand side, header challenge, and then you have Olatunji going past Glesnes, and then he's grabbed from behind, basically. And you end up with a takedown, and takedown by Garces. So Olatunji watches it go. He gets it away from Glesnes. Garces comes in, basically grabs him around the waist, and Olatunji goes down. 36, early 36. And then LAG ends up with possession, and then you see there's the cutaway of Pablo having a discussion with the 4th. But it is early 36th minute, and Pablo is beside himself. And so replay, the slow-mo is available in the 37th, but it's early 36th. You see, you've got contact from behind by Garces.
Oh, yeah.
And Garces with the left arm around Olatunji's waist. And so Pablo is hot. And this one was not.
Pablo's right to be a little hot about this. I remember seeing this. I think he's a little hot. He has reason to be hot about this. Now, I don't think this would have been a dog-so foul. I don't like. You probably would have given a yellow card for stopping a promising attack. I don't know if this would have risen to red card because there was a defender in the area who reasonably could have made a play. I don't know how much control that RSL truly had of the ball, but like, you can't just. By the way, Garces is not in control of his body when he makes this foul. He is like bent over, running into the rib cage of like, this is not a shoulder to shoulder challenge, right? This is a defender basically like falling over his own right, running into the rib cage of the attacker. This absolutely should have been a foul. And if they had given a red card for it, I don't think VAR would have been able to overturn it. But if they don't give a red card for it, I don't know if you can look at it and go, yeah, like a little bit of a gray area. It's absolutely a foul in my opinion. I remember seeing this actually. Yeah, that's a foul. I'm sorry. I don't know how that's not a foul. Like maybe you can justify it by saying, oh, well, the RSL attacker isn't quite in possession or in control of the ball. Like, fine. You can't just, I mean, I've seen worse tackling form from the Falcons on Sunday. Like, this is all he didn't do was wrap up. Like, led with the head and everything. I don't understand how this was not called a foul. This is, to me, very clearly a charging foul. RSL and Pablo Mastroeni have every right to be upset about this, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the thing is that I firmly anticipate that he is probably going to get an envelope from the league, and it will be it is going to be one of those envelopes.
Please stop getting mad at referees for giving LA teams calls because we need the LA teams to be good again. Otherwise, is that the script?
Here's your envelope and here's your fine. Please pay to the order of.
Yeah. Stick
Yanks
to the
abroad.
script. Here's your fine.
Come on. Stick to the script. Didn't you get this? Weren't you in the writers' room before the season started, sir?
No, but yeah. I mean, look, we joke about it, but like that foul plus then the penalty kick being given so far after, so much time passed after the foul, it felt a little fishy. That's all I'm saying.
It felt
on a conspiracy theory Monday morning after what happened this weekend.
Absolutely. So left imprisonment is our first bot of the week, and so we're going to take care of it. I do want to get into Yanks abroad, but at the same time, I also wanted to discuss with you from a U.S. WNT perspective a goal by a recent mom and how important it was for a comeback for her club in the NWSL on the weekend. So team's down by 2. You end up with a goal by a new mom, and it kind of sparks a comeback for her particular club. And San Diego, down 2, they come back to win. So it's 3 goals in 16 minutes to come back to beat Denver. So that was one of the headlines from the NWSL. Now the NWSL, now that they are back, NWSL is back.
Yeah, yeah, back to playing after the international break. So we had a couple of interesting comebacks this weekend in NWSL. But yeah, Sophia Wilson gets her goal. Her first goal back as a mom. I think to go back a little bit to the last WNT window. Okay, I'm saying this not to criticize, but to both explain and also kind of maybe criticize a little bit. So just bear with me.
Okay.
Not being overly critical.
Bearing with you.
Because I understand. I think, okay, Sophia Wilson was called in for very good reason. She's on the road to recovery getting back to full fitness after giving birth. We all understand that, right? I mean, this is an insanely intense process that a woman's body goes through when giving birth. And obviously the recovery is not just, okay, let's recover from the physical act that probably injured her, but also, losing your fitness after, not really playing soccer for, I don't know for sure when you have to stop playing soccer when pregnant, but more than a couple months, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so when she was included in the women's national team camp, I think we were all like, good. That is a good thing. She is obviously a vital component. But I think there was some frustration from fans that we weren't as productive in the attack. And I'm in this too. And part of that is because Sophia Wilson she's not quite back to
Sophia Wilson,
a shot of espresso form that we're used to.
Right.
Right. And that's fine. That's the process. But I think that training camp and having to play, again, Japan, who, a very high level and high caliber team, great players, great defenders, especially, that is what she needed to help her in that recovery. And I'm not saying that's why she scored a goal. I don't, that's not it. But I think people were overly harsh on the U.S.'s performance against a very good Japan team with a central striker who is not quite at peak form, right? And who is building back. This goal is not necessarily saying she's back, because, that's not exactly how soccer and fitness works. It's not linear.
What?
But it is good that she scores in 90 plus 5, right? I think that's a good thing. She scores late in the game after starting the game. So she went all 90, which she's getting back to. And then she scores at the end with a finish, John, that I think requires more strength and stamina than more people realize. It is a rope to the top opposite corner, right? That is not something you just tap in. That took strength and skill and ability. So I think when you look at it from that standpoint for the U.S. women, that is huge, that Sophia Wilson is back to be able to do that at 90 plus 5. But be patient. She's not necessarily back, but it's good to see her give moments of being back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That you're seeing that the process is coming. You're getting back into the swing of things. You get your moments. Now you're looking for the consistency over time.
Yes. Yeah. And again, going 90 is I think the most important thing for her right now. Because again, I've never given birth. Abby's in the chat. She can probably talk a little bit more to it if she wants to. But that is a physically intense process, not just the last few months of pregnancy, but then you give birth and then you have the recovery after birth. And I'm sure you're not out there training every day in post-birth life. And then you have a newborn whose only objective is to make sure you don't sleep. It's tough. So, Gigi is the cutest little thing ever. But, not exactly, wasn't probably great for her soccer playing career for a couple months. But now she's back and she's getting back into fitness.
Yep.
Yeah. Abby, thank you. I don't know, but I've just...
Yes.
It's not easy. And again, then you have several weeks or months with a newborn who wants to do everything but sleep or eat or everything. Mm-hmm. So, the fact that she's working back into this is great. And I think, again, when you just look at the timeline for the women's national team, late November, early December is all that matters. Everything from now until then is getting ready for World Cup qualification.
Yes.
You got to win one game against El Salvador, and hopefully you win a semifinal against whomever so that you qualify for the Olympics. Or not the Olympics, they don't have to qualify for that. But so that that's your goal.
Yeah.
You got to win that quarterfinal.
Yes.
Everything's building to that.
Yes.
So that's where we're at.
Yes. Utah shuts out Seattle in a bit of a shocker. Portland 2-1 over Angel City. San Diego, the 5-goal thriller with Denver. North Carolina shuts out Houston. Chicago shuts out Boston. Gotham shuts out Bay. Gotham is back. Spirit put 4 on Kansas City, which was a bit of a shocker. And then Racing and
that was the shocker.
And Orlando, a 5-goal thriller. So for Washington, it was Santos. Santos with 2. Trinity Rodman at 45 plus 3. Claudia Martinez in the 75th. stats on the day, just to discuss in front of the crowd of 19,215. It was possession 57-40, 17 shots for Washington compared to 8 for Kansas City, 7 on target compared to 3. Passing accuracy both in the 70s. Duels about 50-50. Clearances 29-19. So Kansas City still had 10 more clearances and they gave up 4 goals. I did not do that. 30 fouls called, 17 on the winning side, 2 yellows on the day. So dominant performance by Washington in the 4-0 win at home against Kansas City on the 24th.
Kansas City is just not a very well structured team right now, both roster wise and on the field. But that's what you get when you hire Chris Armas. So,
all right. So before we get out of here, Yanks.
Hey, listen, I love Chris Armas as a former Chicago Fire fan. A lot of respect for Chris Armas as a player, but as a coach,
yeah,
maybe not so much.
There are moments where that he is looked at, and you wonder what he might have been thinking strategically in a situation like that. So, so there's them things. So now also on the board, Yanks abroad, and I wanted to get into that with you before we bid adieu. Folarin Balogun, 7-game scoring streak, ended 2-2 tie with Toulouse. Alex Freeman gets his first start, gets a Villarreal positive result there. Let's see. So Brendan Aronson has a chance. So Chris Richards plays 90 in the loss at Liverpool. Jedi gets a cup of coffee. Brendan Aronson plays 86. Aiden Morris for Middlesbrough plays 90. Haji Wright for promotion-bound Coventry City got 71 minutes in their win against Wrexham. Balogun in a 1 through 10 scale by L'Equipe. Tim Weah, 90 minutes in a yellow. Tanner Tessman under 54 in a win for Lyon. Mark McKenzie, 90 minutes in a draw. Folarin Balogun, 83 minutes in a draw. Gio Reyna has played 41 minutes since the March weekend, 69 minutes since the beginning of the year. Played under 16 minutes for Borussia Mönchengladbach. Joe Scally played the full 90 in the draw with Wolfsburg. You're laughing. Malik Tillman played under 30. Noah Guy Banks did not dress. Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie had a goalless draw. What sticks in your mind from what happened on the weekend with Yanks abroad and Yanks not so abroad?
Well, I think I'm laughing about Gio Reyna, but look, he played. And I think as long as he's playing every now and then, he's probably on the roster. The reality is there's no one better than him, despite what people want to talk about Diego Luna or anyone else. Like, Gio Reyna is still an insanely talented soccer player for however long he can do it. 15 minutes, 12 minutes, who knows? I do want to shout out Joe playing a little bit more in a wing-back-ish role for Mönchengladbach, and I think that's... I don't know if that plays into the national team necessarily, but I just think that's an interesting kind of wrinkle for him. He did get a goal, 2 weeks ago in a similar position. To me, Scally is a hugely important piece to this team. But the other player who's competing for that role, as you mentioned, got his first start with Villarreal. And I think that was a concern with Alex Freeman going abroad. That right now, hey, man, you are a locked-in starter. Now, he escaped the dumpster fire that is Central Florida Purple Team. But still a little concerned that maybe he would, it's good to fight for your spot in a team, but coming in mid-season into a team that didn't necessarily need a right back, right, is a little bit of a concern. Because I think everyone would agree you're better at soccer when you play consistently, and training is good, but playing in a real match is even better. All I'm saying is Scally looking good. Freeman, love to see the start. Now, Dest, get healthy. And Jedi, stay healthy.
Yeah, hey, Jedi, you stay healthy. Tyler Adams, stay healthy.
Yeah.
All those things.
I want to mention one other Yanks abroad thing, John, if I can.
Go for it.
All right. On Sunday, we had a Women's Champions League final that featured 3 U.S. women in the starting lineup. And I just want to point that out. That's pretty awesome. Arsenal had Emily Fox. Lyon had Lindsay Heaps and Lily Johannes. I think we've talked a lot about, is it better to go overseas if you're a women's national teamer? Unless it's, I've always said unless it's the WSL, I don't think it's that worth it. But these matches are why you go play for a team like Lyon or possibly Barcelona or Bayern or one of those teams, right? These are the matches you're playing for because you're not just factually not getting a match like this in WSL. Now, week to week, you're getting way more competitive matches, but these matchups are incredibly high quality and intense and meaningful. And it's good that Lindsay and Lily finally got a match that is hard.
That was going to stick with me. All right, so what's going on with SoccerForUSPod?
Well, as I said, last week I was traveling, so, we were not able to record. So this week we'll record a little bit of a wrap-up of 2 topics. First being women's national team and the camp they had 2 weeks ago. And then we'll also talk about the traitor, Matt Crocker. I mean, the departure of Matt Crocker as sporting director for U.S. Soccer.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. All right. As always, my friend, great to see you on Mondays, and I can't wait to hear your Matt Crocker discussion.
John, did you even notice the mug I'm drinking out of today?
Yes, I did. Of course I did. I was going to see.
We'll celebrate when Atlanta United wins a road game. We'll do that.
Have you mentioned it? Yeah. Yes, absolutely. But
playing 2 good games in a row is good. Let's make it happen more often.
Yes, I concur. As always, my friend, great to see you. Thanks for breaking things down, and I'm glad that we agreed on the moment that was not posted in the highlight package involving Ola and Garces with LA and RSL.
Oh, Pablo. So sorry for him. All right.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.
All right, be good. There goes Bart, and that is Bart Keeler hanging out with us. SoccerForUSPod at Bartimus Prime 19. Now, let's get you into the news of the morning, stuff you might have missed going forward. And remember that we've got Red Clay Soccer Report coming up at noon. Guests are Brian Lawson from Jeff Davis High, Jeremy Moore from Toombs County. They're going to go back to back, and they're going to talk about their matchups, one of them against each other, and the matchups since they coach both the boys and the girls teams. We'll go over what happened the last day of round number 1, and we'll set your brackets up after that. But first 2 interviews, Brian Lawson, Jeff Davis, Jeremy Moore from Toombs County, and then we'll get you into brackets, and then we'll get you off and running for your day. No matches today. Everything starts up tomorrow when it comes to round number 2, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then from there, you're off into the quarterfinals, and we're just rolling there. So just a quick reminder, every day that we are in a playoff setting with the GHSA, you're going to get a red clay lunch. Traditionally, during the regular season, it is a show that airs for an hour on Wednesdays in season. But when we have playoff action going on, we go every day. We don't go the full hour every day unless coaches, for some reason, they have to navigate lunch hours and things like that. And we also have, if we need to invite coaches in on the morning show, then we'll do that since we are here in the playoffs. So that's kind of where we are with that. It looks like Wednesday might be a combination of Brooks County and McIntosh, and so we'll keep you posted there. River Ridge, McIntosh, and that matchup on Wednesday is where we will be for round 2. So it is getting you ready for Open Cup. Open Cup tomorrow in Charlotte. Star 94 is going to have your broadcast. I think it's going to be a quick in, kickoff at 7:03, and then a quick out, no post-game show. And then on Wednesday here on the network, we're going to have River Ridge and McIntosh from McIntosh. That's going to be defending champ and perennial power. That's going to be a 7 o'clock kick, or shortly thereafter. We'll be on the air a little bit ahead of time to set the table for you. Busy night across the footprint in the GHSA. So it's we're going to have noons for high school all week long, and then keep an eye out for playoffs and things like that. Tomorrow's show is stacked, by the way. It is going to be a visit from Will Pelagic, play-by-play voice of Charlotte and Charlotte FC, to give you Oppo research for Open Cup and find out what's going on in Charlotte right now after the loss to Nashville on the weekend. Then at 9:30, it's time to catch up with our friends at Sportico, where we get to catch up with Kurt Badenhausen now that the top 50 clubs worldwide is out. We're going to go over that with him at 9:30. We should be catching up with Casey White at 10 o'clock. And then we are going to have Keeler Hodges for his monthly visit about USL Championship and USL League One. That's going to wrap up tomorrow at 10:30. And then you're going to get Red Clay Tuesday to set up the table for the first day of day number 2 in the playoffs for the GHSA. And then you'll have Open Cup tomorrow night. So it's a very, very busy time for all of us here at SDH. And once again, it's always great to catch up with Bart, catch up with Abe, and catch up with everybody to lay things out here as we go. All right. News of the morning before we get out of here, and we'll let you know what else is going on. So Ben Jacobs, busy day for Ben. When isn't it a busy day for Ben, frankly? So a couple of different things from Ben involving the coaching searches and everything that could be happening involving all of the big name jobs that are going on right now. Chelsea search for a new head coach, early stage, several names discussed. Andoni Iraola, one of the candidates. Marco Silva is a contender. Outreach taking place to understand different options. Chelsea is set to speak to several managers in what is expected to be a thorough process. Also, it is Julian Alvarez remaining Barcelona's big target, number one target this summer. Deco has had multiple meetings with the players' camp, nothing advanced yet. ATLUTD want to fight to keep him, value him higher than the 104 million pounds that saw Griezmann leave for Barcelona in 2019. Premier League inquiries, including from Arsenal earlier this year. Didn't know if you saw this, and we're going to try and track this down too. A U.S.-based group is on the brink of a takeover in the fifth tier of England. And these owners have experience working in professional U.S. soccer, and they were present for a win for Tamworth on the weekend. So keeping an eye on that stuff too. Xavi Simons is out for the because it is diagnosed now as a knee injury. So former Bayern chief Karl-Heinz Rummenigge is going to discuss a contract extension with Harry Kane at some stage after the season, due to expire after 26-27. Rummenigge wants to lock him up, right, to be poached by a rival club in January because of a £57 million release clause. Barca and Spurs were linked, but they wanted to get him for less than 57. Harry Kane stayed put, and they're going to try and figure out a contract extension there involving Harry Kane. Chelsea made contact with Andoni Iraola's agent in regard to the managerial vacancy, according to TalkSport. And so once again, as they're trying to track down their next manager after the dismissal of Liam Rosenior, then you've got those two that are on the board. So keep an eye on Chelsea. Scott Parker's future at Burnley's in the balance after the relegation from the Premier League. Discussions between Parker and the Clarets hierarchy ongoing as to whether he carries on beyond the end of the year. There is a strong possibility, according to TalkSport, Parker leaves turf more amicably. If he does depart, they could turn to Wales boss Craig Bellamy, who remains highly regarded from his time as Vincent Kompany's number 2. Steven Gerrard is also keen to a return to the dugout. Gerrard is now tax exempt from his time in Saudi Arabia, having now managed Al Ettifaq. Keep an eye out on that. We'll talk about this later in SOT tonight. Former referee Gianluca Rocci has suspended himself as the chief of Italian referees over a reported investigation into alleged fraud. He's in charge of assigning Serie A referees as a part of his role. Currently under investigation for complicity in sporting fraud during the 24-25 season, according to AGI. Preliminary hearing has been scheduled for Thursday. Suspension confirmed by the Italian Referees Association. Investigation into the allegations launched by the Milan Public Prosecutor's Office. VAR supervisor for the top 2 tiers in Italy, Andrea Gervasoni, has also suspended himself after being placed under investigation. And we are going to figure out where that goes from there. So it is in the in Serie A and Serie B, the reffing situation and folks in the VAR booth is coming under scrutiny. Spurs revealed Xavi Simone suffered an ACL injury, ruling him out of action for the rest of 26. Already took to social media last night, declared his knee knock is going to keep him out of the World Cup. Spurs have now officially made their statement on the 280-character app. Quote, "We can confirm that Xavi Simone has ruptured the ACL in his right knee, suffered the injury during the second half of our Premier League fixture at Wolverhampton Wanderers on Saturday. He's going to undergo surgery in the coming weeks, and following that, then we'll begin his rehabilitation with our medical team. Everyone at Tottenham Hotspur sends Xavi our love and support, and we'll be with him every step of the way." So Xavi Simone's out for Spurs, out with a knee injury, and out for the World Cup. So Xavi Simone's out until further notice. Let's see. We mentioned Karl-Heinz Rummenigge and Scott Parker and Real Madrid coming out this morning. There is an injury, and this is from our friends at One Football. Kylian Mbappe suffering from an injury to the semitendinosus muscle in his left leg. Length of his absence is unknown. Real Madrid have confirmed the injury. Everything points to him not playing again for the remainder of the season. According to the club, he's suffering from an injury to that muscle in his left leg, a problem that will keep him out for the rest of the year, allow him to arrive at the World Cup in good condition. And according to One Football, Mbappe may be saying goodbye in this way to his battle for the Pichichi, ending his second season in white with many goals, but without a single title. And that is from AFP and One Football. So Real Madrid will be without Kylian Mbappe for the remainder of the season as well. Let's see. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And then we'll say hi to everybody and find out who's in here this morning to help us walk through another Reaction Monday. And so what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. Helps them out, helps us out, helps you out. Get you more stuff and more streaming and more matches than you might previously have had. Fanatis, you get BN, and I mean all the BNs. I mean all of them. So you get French League, you get Polish League, you get Turkish League, you get Libertadores, Sudamericana, and you get links to CATV, you get links to Tigo Sports, you get Copa Argentina through TIC and all of their coverage in the sport based out of Argentina. A lot of the other leagues that are in South America, A Division and B Division, you get with all the BNs, you get CAF, you get the AFCON Champions League, you get stuff, you get all of the African competitions, and it is literally all in one place. You get Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru, TVV if you want to add Venezuela, CDOs if you want to add Chile. So it's all there. One subscription, one home, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Now, Manchester United and Brentford, Monday Night Football. That's coming up at 3 o'clock. Besiktas and Fatih Karagümrük is at 1 o'clock on the BNs. USA is broadcasting Manchester United. Brentford, being an Espanol, simulcasting Turkish League. ESPN Deportes has La Liga at 3. Fox Deportes Serie A at 12:30. Universo is simulcasting Premier League. Fox O&E simulcasting Serie A. Doubleheader for Paramount Plus out of Serie A at 12:30 and 2:45. So Copa Libertadores and Sudamericana, by the way, are tomorrow. I would anticipate Copa Libertadores show 99 from Howard Hamilton and Soccer Metrics, getting that close to Soccer Metrics show number 100, another milestone for another show here on the network. Libertadores is tomorrow. CONCACAF Champions Cup is tomorrow as well, with Nashville and Tigres going on tomorrow. So schedule compression for them. Now, gossip, rumor, and innuendo. We'll go and let you know what is going on in the world of the sport. So we mentioned Julian Alvarez. Pulisic's goalless streak has now hit 16. It's a career worst. It is going to be an absolute mess the last day of the season in the English Championship. 3 teams fighting for the number 6 spot in trying to get into the promotion playoff. One of them is Wrexham. One is Hull. Wrexham is ahead of Hull on goal difference. And actually, it's goals scored, I think. They went down to that particular tiebreaker. And Darby County is a point behind. So Wrexham in the 6, Hull City's in the 7, Darby County's in the 8. If Darby County wins, the other two draw. Darby County is the 6, Wrexham is the 7, Hull is the 8. Wrexham wins, and they exceed the result from Hull City. They're the 6. They're in the promotion playoff for an unheard of 6th straight promotion. So keep an eye on that one. Now, it is gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and who might be going where or who's interested in whom. So here's your trending rumors. Arsenal, Barcelona, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United among the teams keeping close tabs on the progress of Ajax winger Mika Götze, according to Team Talk. Scouts present when he scored the solo goal on Saturday in the goal to seal the Eredivisie win over NAC Breda. Götze, who made his international debut for Belgium in their 5-2 friendly over the U.S., 16 goals, 11 assists in 29 matches this year. Arsenal are interested in Endrick at Real Madrid, according to Mundo Deportivo. 10-goal contributions in Ligue 1 this year from his loan spell at Lyon. Scored and assisted in the win over PSG 8 days ago. Arsenal, among several clubs in Europe, monitoring the 19-year-old situation, despite the stance indicating that there is no interest in letting him leave the Bernabeu in the next transfer window. And asked at the weekend if there's a chance the loan could be extended beyond this summer, Endrick told Canal Plus Foot, quote, "I really don't know. If I have to return to Real Madrid, I'll go back there gladly. If I have to go elsewhere, I'll go elsewhere. Really hope we can take Lyon to qualify in the Champions League. That's where it belongs." Manchester United preparing to make an offer for Brighton midfielder Carlos Baleba, according to Nicola Shearer. Seagulls now open to parting ways with the 22-year-old after turning down approaches for his signature. Red Devils have agreed to personal terms. They could now face competition from Chelsea, who are also interested. Baleba's made 27 appearances in the Premier League this year. Juve defender Bremer on the radar of multiple Premier League clubs, according to Calcio Mercato. Interest in the 29-year-old stepped up in recent weeks. Happy with the Bianconeri, who wants to win regular trophies and could consider an exit if they failed to do so in a short-term future. Linked with United previously, remains contracted until the summer of 29. Release clause in the deal allows him to be signed for a fee of €58 million. Juve goalkeeper Michele Di Gregorio could be offered to Liverpool as part of a deal to sign Alisson, according to Team Talk. Serie A club preparing to accelerate talks to sign the 33-year-old, open to the idea of a switch with hopes of a long-term transfer. Believe that the Reds have previously held interest in Di Gregorio, who is 28. Any deal would hinge on whether they're confident he would be able to succeed their long-term starter between the posts. Now, other rumors. We mentioned Julian Alvarez, and that's Ben Jacobs. Football Insider. Juve optimistic of signing Bernardo Silva. Football Insider. Real Madrid intend to lend Nico Paz from Como, exercising the re-sign clause in the deal that took him to Serie A. Previously been on the radar of Inter Milan. That's from Diario AS. Nottingham Forest have identified Middlesbrough midfielder Hayden Hackney as a possible replacement for Elliot Anderson. That's from the three-letter paper. AC Milan pushing to sign Bayern Munich midfielder Leon Goretzka. Also been linked with Arsenal. That's from our friends at Tutto Sport. Napoli recently sent scouts to watch Benfica midfielder Richard Rios, with the Serie A club keen on landing him in the summer, according to Nicolo Shearer. Lazio looking at Dinamo Zagreb Sergi Dominguez from Corriere dello Sport. Gazzetta dello Sport, AC Milan are prioritizing the signing of a striker in the next transfer window. And the Daily Express, Chelsea are considering Antonio Conte as a possible option to return to the club for a second spell as manager at Stamford Bridge. Oh, the humanity. Oh, the humanity. Yeah, that was to go down. That would be interesting. That's the word I'll use. Let's say hi to everybody who's been in here this morning. Morning, Abby. Morning, David. Let's see. Who else is in here this morning? Let's see. So Abby says that the ATL was represented at the Coventry City match. Queen's Pantry owner in Marietta is a Coventry City fan, season ticket holder. Took her supporters flag with Atlanta on it. Flew over and was at the match to cheer the team against Wrexham. Very cool. Morning, Derek. Yes, and we were getting into the whole Sophia Wilson childbirth. Yeah, if you're if it was up to the males of the species, and Abby's not wrong, we'd be extinct. She's not wrong. And let's see, morning Derek, morning Wiley, morning Lokeville. And let's see, so it's Abby and Derek and Ricky. And let's see, who else? Morning David, morning Dell, morning Coco. Coco's a fan to give the National League 2 promotion spots because, the chaos of what happened. And we'll play the ending of that match in Soccer Over There tonight, where one team thought they had it, then the other team scores, and the other team has it, and now the team that loses in that matchup, and both teams, York City and Rochdale, both cleared 100 points. And now you end up with a team, so you have two that are promoted from the National League into League 2 in England in their pyramid. So in the National League, the standings after the last day of the regular season, you end up with York City at 108 points, Rochdale at 106. York City's goal difference, by the way, 73. 114 goals scored in 46 matches. So York City and Rochdale both cleared 100 points. Third place was Carlisle United at 95. But because it's only one automatic promotion spot, that means that now Rochdale has to wait to find out who's going to win among Boreham Wood, Scunthorpe United, whoop whoop, South End United, and Forest Green Rovers. 4, the 5, the 6, and the 7, they play each other. Boreham Wood, Forest Green, Scunthorpe, and South End. Winners of those take on Rochdale and Carlisle. The winner of that one is the second team to get promoted. But there has been a hue and cry that it should be 2 promotion spots. 2 promotion spots outright instead of the winner of the league and then the team that survives 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There have been owners of the franchises that have said that basically this really is a League 3. This is not a National League. It is now more of a League 3 situation than it is anything else because of the effort that is put into these clubs at the top end to get into the pyramid in League 2. They feel that it's more of a League 3 than it is a National League setup. It's not the beer league that a lot of folks think that it is. But because of York City drawing Rochdale late, you end up with York City winning the league, being automatically promoted, and Rochdale having to wait. So that was the end of the league. That was the end of the competition for the league last year. This season, I mean. Morning, Dell. Morning, Ricky. And morning, Abby. And me going back and forth with all the things. Morning, Wiley. Morning, Michael. And let's see, there's David and there's Ricky. And so thanks to everybody who is joining in. And I always like it when you guys get to catch up with each other in the conversations as well in the Twitch pitch. I always enjoy that when you guys get to let me know what's on your mind there in the Twitch pitch. Let's see. So FIFA has agreed to increase World Cup prize money after the countries raised cost concerns. Matt Hughes had this story yesterday in The Guardian. Have agreed in principle to increase prize money and participation fees. Details of the enhanced funding to be approved at the meeting of the FIFA Council in Vancouver this week. And keep an eye on that later this week because there's supposed to be some other things that are to be mentioned. We'll see if they are mentioned and put out into the ether of soccer. Concerns raised by several national associations, the high cost of travel operations and taxes in the U.S. in particular this summer will result in them losing money even if their side has a successful tournament and reaches later stages. FIFA announced a World Cup prize fund of $727 million last December. Each of the 48 competing teams receiving a minimum of $10.5 million. Winners getting $50 million. Now it's going to be increased further. In addition, the development funding handed out to all 211 FIFA members will also be increased from the projected $2.7 billion it was already due to distribute over the next 4-year cycle. Due to receive a guaranteed payment each one of $5 million, 6 confederations, each receiving $60 million to help develop football in their regions, with the payments set to increase. So that was news out of FIFA yesterday. And so we will obviously keep an eye on that. Quick story, I guess requested required reading might be on what Nantes is not doing, as they are staring relegation in the face over at The Guardian. And let me check the other papers before we go and come back at noon to talk high school, see if there was anything that I missed. Once again, remember, Manchester United, Brentford. That's at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And so we'll keep an eye on that. Did you see the keepers being sent off in the massive brawl in La Liga 2 with Zaragoza and Huesca? Esteban Andrade got a red, as Huesca captain Jorge Pulido went down with slight contact. Andrade got mad that he got a red, and he basically cold-cocked Pulido with a right in the second tier. The video's out there. We may play the audio. We may play the audio in Soccer Over There tonight. Esteban Andrade facing a lengthy ban, obviously. And it was a relegation battle. Andrade got a second yellow for pushing over a player. Brawl erupts. Danny Jimenez and Zaragoza's Danny Tasende also got sent off. Andrade later issued an apology saying he lost focus. Zaragoza released a statement saying they strongly condemn what happened. And immediately after the red card, excuse me, you see Andrade running to hit Pulido, basically cold cocks him from behind, and you end up with a massive brawl at that point. Andrade could be banned for up to 12 matches for the punch, as well as the 1-match sanction for his red card. And then after the match, once again, Andrade's got 4 caps for Argentina, and he came on camera to apologize after the fact. But yeah, it was crazy, absolutely crazy to see what happened there. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I missed. And I mentioned in the York City Rochdale match, it was an equalizer in the 103rd minute, by the way. Police are investigating a York player assaulting a fan, in quotation marks, during promotion celebrations. And the video is out. And so Rochdale gets the draw. Josh Stones gets a goal in the 13th minute of stoppage time. And then you had 2 pitch invasions, one by each side. Rochdale fans stormed on the pitch after they got the leading goal. And then there's a recording that's going out on social. Shows a confrontation between a fan and a York player who was on his knees at the final whistle. Stewards attempt to separate the player. Player gets to his feet and appears to, in the video, punch a fan. 4 Rochdale fans arrested, 1 on suspicion of assault and pitch incursion, 1 on suspicion of a public order offense, 2 on suspicion of pitch incursion. York supporter also arrested on suspicion of assault. Police confirmed he would be interviewed at a later date. And so, yes, you end up with a goal at 90 plus 6 and then an equalizer at 90 plus 13. But a lot of folks are sitting there and they're saying that both of those teams should be promoted, and that but the first 2 positions, much like it was put in the Twitch pitch, top 2 positions need to be automatically promoted, and then probably have a third one work through a playoff, and then the third team gets relegated out of League 2. So that's where we are. Okay. That will do it for this go-round, and we'll come back at noon for Red Clay Monday. We'll go over what happened on Friday with all of your notes. Then we'll get you ready for Tuesday with 2 coaches playing each other in one, then not playing others in their other matchups, and what it's like to have to navigate in the modern day, having to coach both boys and girls soccer at their respective institutions. Brian Lawson from Jeff Davis joining us off the top, and Jeremy Moore from Toombs County joining us about 12:20. And then we'll set up what happened on Friday, get you ready for Tuesday and the beginning of round 2. And I think, like I said, we're going to be joined by McIntosh and Brooks County on Wednesday for Red Clay, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. All right. Thanks, as always, for coming in on Mondays as we break everything down. A lot of posts, a lot of highlights, a lot of thought, a lot of talk. I'm glad we had it. Always glad that we do. Coming back in an hour and coming back really in 50 minutes to break everything down in the high school game. Soccer over there tonight. There's a lot to talk about, including the ending of Rochdale and York City at 8 o'clock tonight with soccer over there. We'll go over picks of the week. We'll actually see if I won something. Tomorrow it's stacked. 9:05. It's Will Pelagic, play-by-play voice of Charlotte FC for Oppo Research. Kurt Badenhausen from Sportico is going to join us on the top 50 clubs. KCD has had a very busy couple of days. We'll see if she can join us. And then at 10:30, Kaylor Hodges will join us from the USL show to break down the 30 days in USL Championship. The Cup competition has started and everything going on in League One, and we'll see where things are with the labor situation, all in one place tomorrow at about 10:30. So that's another go-around of SDH AM. Thanks, as always, for dropping by, as you always do. Back at it again, top of the hour, talking high schools on a Red Clay Monday, the Red Clay Soccer Report presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Great to see all of you here on a Monday. Since it is the end of this particular program, I have to do this. Back at it at noon Eastern. See you in a bit. Mucha platial, play it safe. Red Clay around the corner.